Before I show you how we enter in each session, I need to tell you about what a rejection candle is. So I'm going to show you in examples exactly how we use them and at what zones and when. But first of all, I need to tell you the actual anatomy of the candles. So what do the actual candles look like? Really simple. I don't need to talk much about this one because there's only two different types. It's really simple, and this is just kind of a pre-video to the entries video, just to tell you the actual anatomy of the candles, the rejections that we look for. So this is going to be on the 5 minute that we look for the rejection candles, which is what I'm going to show you right now. Also on the 15 minute, but that's going to be in the second half of this video. So really simple to start. This is buys right here. So all a rejection candle is a rejection candle that signifies that we are rejecting a zone so we can then buy. So if price is tapped into a zone and we see a rejection candle, we can then buy. So these two examples are for buys. The first one, so like I said, there's only two kind of rejection candles, and then it's inverse for sells. So the first kind of rejection candle is a long lower wick, indicating that the bearish momentum is then getting squeezed out of the market by the 5 minute candle pushing back up. So the first kind of rejection candle is just any candle that has a long lower wick on the 5 minute. This can be bullish or it can be bearish, it doesn't matter. So the first candle is a candle with a long lower wick. The second candle, the second and last candle for buys, because it's really simple, is this candle right here. As you can see with these arrows, these are actually the arrows that are pointing to each rejection candle. So in this case, it was that one that was the rejection, and from that point, price then pushed to the upside. This second example here is the second type of rejection candle, and it's literally just a bullish candle. So as soon as you see a bullish candle, you can buy, as long as obviously it's what I'm going to show you in the next video. In that price pushes down to the zone on the 5 minute, we get this candle here. That is then a signal that we are that is a signal that we are rejecting a zone. So if you see one of these 5 minute candles at a zone, you can buy, or one of these right here, as long as it's obviously with the higher time frame bias and everything, but that is for the next video. This is just to highlight what the actual rejection candles look like that I'm talking about. So for buys, the first kind is a long lower wick. The second kind is literally just a bullish candle. So this is on the 5 minute. Now the next kind, if I go across to the sells, so for sells, it's just the inverse of the buys. So the first example is this one right here with a long upper wick, signifying that the bullish buyers, the momentum of the bulls is being squeezed out of the market by being pushed back to the downside. So this long upper wick up here tells us that price is about to drop to the downside. So this is a rejection candle, this one that it's pointing to. In fact, this one, and this one, so all these three zones right here are all rejection candles. So once you see one of these at one of our zones, you can get to buying. So this is the anatomy of bearish candles that will let you sell. So these candles here with the long upper wicks, so these upper wicks would be in the zone that we're selling from. So this is the first type of selling candle, a long upper wick. And then the second type, just like on buys, it's the inverse of that, is a bearish candle. So as soon as you see a bearish candle at one of these zones, that is a 5 minute confirmation that we can sell. So on the lower time frames, on the 5 minute, to sell, we either look for a candle with a long upper wick or a bearish body. Now, I used to focus a lot on rejection candles. I don't do that as much anymore. This is pretty much all I use, apart from what I'm going to show you in the second half of this video. I try to simple it down as much as possible in terms of rejection candles, because the actual movement of the market is now more important to me than what the candles look like. So I've shown you what rejection candle the anatomy is on sells and on buys. So now you'll be able to understand when I go into the entries videos for each session, the exact candles that I'm actually looking for and allow me to get into the market. Now the main entry time frame is by far the 5 minute, but we can also apply this anatomy to the 15 minute as well in case it doesn't work out on the 5 minute. Now you probably don't understand what I said, but I'm going to explain it on the charts right now with a buy example and a sell example. So say we have a chart, we're in US session, we're looking for a tap into this zone and a rejection on the 5 minute. As you can see, we haven't quite got it yet. So now all we're looking for is a tap in and then one of our rejection candles. So it's either a lower wick, a long lower wick, or it's a bullish candle. So the next 5 minute does that and it closes down below Now, if I go on the, well, I'm not going to go on the 50 minute because it'll ruin it, but that 5 minute there actually closed below. So at this point, we'd be thinking, is the zone invalidated? Well, I'm going to say no, not quite yet, because if this 15 minute comes back up and closes a rejection candle, that is confirmation, because the 15 minute is actually a stronger time frame than the 5 minute. So this 5 minute did go below, but that doesn't mean it's broken quite yet. So we didn't get an entry on this candle. We won't get an entry on the next candle. If I show you like that, the next 5 minute goes all the way back in. That's not an entry though, because the 15 still hasn't closed. And then that is where the 15 minute closed. So if I go onto the 15 minute now, that is a clear rejection of the zone on the 15 minute, which if you were just looking on the 5, you'd have probably deleted this zone once it got invalidated. Well, once you thought it got invalidated by that 5 minute that closed below the zone. So that's not what happened, because the 15 minute did come back up and you then could have entered on the 15. So what I'm saying here is, if you don't get the entry on the 5 because it ends up breaking below, you can always get a second chance if the 15 comes back up. And this is a clear rejection candle, long lower wick and a bullish body. So from that point, you can get to buying 100%. So this is kind of an example of how you could have got in on the 15, but you couldn't have got in on the 5 minute. Now, an example for sells here. So let's say we were looking for sells from this zone. This isn't an actual trade setup. I'm just showing it because it's a nice example of actual candlestick anatomy. So say you were waiting for a sell from this zone right here. So you're on the 5 minute and you're just waiting for a rejection candle at this zone. Now, I will also say that this next candle is the start of the 15 minute. So there's 3 candles until the next 15 minute closes. So I'll play out the next 5. The next 5 goes all the way above, breaks cleanly above the zone like that. So at this point, you might be thinking the zone's been invalidated, broken above, no longer looking for sells. Well, if I show you the next 2 candles, the next one comes straight down, and the second one ends down there, which means that the 15 minute ended up closing below the zone as a clear rejection. Now, is it a rejection candle? Yes, that is a very long upper wick. So from that point, we can say that we have rejected the zone and we can see a move to the downside. So that would be a rejection candle. Again, it was only a rejection candle on the 15. It wasn't on the 5. So you wouldn't have been able to get in on the 5-minute time frame because price just broke above. But you just had to wait 10 more minutes for the next two 5 minutes to close. That would be the 15-minute close, and it ended up being a rejection on the 15-minute time frame. So this is kind of an add-on on candle anatomy. So what we look for in terms of the 5-minute, but if the 5-minute doesn't provide us it by it actually breaks out of the zone, the 15-minute may still create the rejection candle. So don't give up if the 5-minute has stopped. It's not over if the 5-minute goes. So say the 5-minute broke above like today, it doesn't mean it's over until that 15-minute has closed. So if the 15-minute closed out of the zone, then we can say, yes, it has broken above. But until that 15-minute closes above, we haven't broken through the zone. This also comes in the break and retest entries as well. So the 5-minute and the 15-minute work very well together. So now you know the actual candles that we look for on the 5-minute and then maybe the 15-minute. I'm going to show you where we actually get in and the market structure and movement that we look for in each session.